Hey, how's it going, everyone? So if you have a 2013 through a 2014 Mazda CX-5 or a 2014 Mazda 6, and you're having this issue where, you come to park your car and you go to turn off your car, but it doesn't completely turn off all the accessories. Like as you can see right now, I just shut off my car, but yet my accessory is still on and so is my clock. And as you can see, my shifter is in park. Well, it's actually a problem that's occurring inside of here. It's a switch that basically controls when the car is fully parked, and it also controls the manual shift options here. But before we jump into this tutorial, you guys, do me a favor. I need you to go ahead and hit the like button and go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That really helps the algorithm, so that way people can easily find this video rather than having to sift through 1,000 unrelated videos. So please do me that favor. Now, to remedy this problem, okay, it's only a temporary fix. Let's say you want to turn off your car, you need to go somewhere for a while, and you don't want to drain the battery. Well, a quick remedy to this problem is to simply just wiggle your shifter left and right, and then you can cycle your power back on and off, and it should be able to turn off the car. So as you can see, it'll have to take a couple of tries, and then boom, your accessories and your clock and everything else is completely off. Now, it's an issue that you don't want to prolong because it does get worse over time, and there may be a point where even this little remedy may not work anymore. So in this video, I'm going to show you the permanent fix to this problem. I want to give props out there to one of the guys on the YouTube community who posted a video repairing his Mazda 6 and basically identified the problem for us. But I want to make this video specifically for the Mazda CX-5s, and in my case it's a 2013 Mazda CX-5. Now, just on a little side rant, I've had this car for quite a while. I bought this car with only 30,000 miles on it, and to be honest with you, it's been a really reliable car. In fact, it's one of the most reliable cars I've ever owned. I've owned tons of different cars, Volvos to BMWs and even Infinitis, but this has never ever given me any problems, and I knock on wood for that. But I've been really thankful that the build quality and the reliability has really proven itself in this vehicle. But one of the issues I was noticing is that when I go to turn off my vehicle recently, it doesn't completely turn off. And it's a big issue because, for some people who don't know what's going on, they have no choice but to leave their car on. They got to go run out to go to work, or maybe they have to, be out for a little bit, and they really don't have time to be figuring out what to do or don't know what to do. And by the time they get back, they need a jump start. They need to call, AAA or a tow truck to come and get them. But in this video, I want to show you exactly what the issue is, and I'm going to guide you through how to repair this to do it yourself. So this here is the actual shift switch that goes inside of this center console here, and it attaches to your shifter assembly here. This issue that's causing the problem, it's not actually this whole switch, but it's this small little black tab, as you can see here. Now, from the other guy's video, his was worn down at the tip here. And what it is every time you put the shifter in park, it's spring loaded. And when it comes all the way to this side, it's supposed to push this tab in, which I guess extends this part. But in doing that, it pushes on another switch, I guess, and then allows the car to completely turn off. So I'm going to take mine apart and we'll compare how it compares with this unit. Now, these switches originally were not available in the aftermarket, but they now are. I got mine from Amazon, and as of shooting this film, it's September 2022. Here's the name of the company that makes this switch. As you can see, it's cheap China switch, but it does the job. And here's the part number that they are attaching. And if if you run this part number by the OEM switch, it's going to match up. Now, just on a side note, I called my local Mazda dealership and I asked them about the switch. I said, do you guys have this part number? And I gave them this part number, and they looked in their computer and it took them a while, and they say, well, we see the part, but we really can't identify whether or not it fit your car. And so they were asking me for a VIN number, which I provided to them. And in my guessing, after 2014, I think Mazda had redesigned that switch because they knew it was an issue. And the guy at the dealership said, you know, based on your VIN number, we're showing two different part numbers for that same item. So that's my guess, and I'm guessing it's the same thing with the Mazda 6s when they rolled out in 2014 with that new redesign. It was just that 1 year only that they were using the same switch, and then Mazda went with a totally redesigned unit. So just a little note on that. You should probably run by your dealer and verify your VIN number if you have a 2014 model, just to make sure yours is not the cutoff date. I'm not too exactly sure when the cutoff date was, but if they can run this number and verify that it fits your vehicle, then you know all you need to order is this one. Now, I paid for this one on Amazon $29. My local dealership don't even sell you just the switch. What they're going to sell you is the entire shift assembly, including this shifter, and it has everything already screwed onto it, including this switch. And they wanted to sell me the entire thing for $300. They said, there's no way we can just part with you the switch. You have to buy the whole thing. And I don't need the whole thing because there's nothing wrong with my shifter. It's just the switch. Now, there are authorized Mazda parts dealers that I think advertise these switches online. I think there's a guy on eBay, and they claim to be an authorized, Mazda parts retailer. And they're selling the OEM Mazda switches, but those will run you back about $78, whereas I paid only $30 for this. So now I'm going to switch into the next section, and we're just going to jump right into it. Okay, so now to replace the switch, you want to go ahead and try to remove this part of the console. Now, with the other guy's video, he removed some portion of his other piece of this center console where the cup holders go, but I'm not too sure if you have to do it with this one, and I don't have any instructions, so I'm just going to try. So the very first thing I guess you want to do is just to use a prying tool to see if you can go ahead and pry along the seams here and see if you can remove just this piece out the way. You may need to remove this top piece as well, and I think this one just kind of screws off like what the other guy did, so we'll do that first. So let me go and play with these, and I'll pause the video here. So I don't have a pry tool, but what I'm using is this stubby flathead screwdriver and a really thick towel, and I actually came from this lower corner here and was able to carefully slide it inside of here and just kind of played with it until it was able to pop open this corner here. And I'm just going to go around this entire thing, and I guess now you can remove it. I've also removed all the other crap that was up there. So there's an electrical connector down below here, as you can see. Let me see if I can put it down here for you. And I think we'll have to remove that. So let's see how we can do that. Maybe if I shift it into neutral, it might actually let me there you go. It might actually let me to move this back. So what I did was I just shifted into neutral here. You just kind of turn your car on to the on position, but don't start it. and then you can push your brake, and then you can shift the gear to neutral. Now it allows more room, so you can take this guy out. And I may not even need to take this out, actually. I can probably leave that there. And as you can see, the unit is right here, so I need to somehow access this. And what I'm thinking about doing maybe is somehow, you can see how this all moves. Now if I had a tool like that guy, he's using a ratchet with a flathead adapter bit on a really short 8mm socket, which I don't have one of those, or a 90-degree screwdriver would have been nice. But I think I'm just going to remove this bracket here maybe, and maybe this fastener, and then I can probably pull this, because it does separate here, and that'll allow enough space for me to get my little stubby screwdriver here. And I could just use the Phillips side on this, and then I can go ahead and remove that switch. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll see where we go from there. So you can see here I slipped my other Phillips screwdriver with the longer neck on there. I was able to slide this in between these two pieces of the center column here, and now I can remove the top screw. But with this bottom one, which is right over here, I might need to use my little stubby for that one. I think this one can do the job. So we'll go ahead and try to get that one out the way. And also too, these are all plastic, so you know, you kind of have some working room. You can kind of bend it a little bit, but I wouldn't want to bend it too much because I don't want to crack anything. But that's just another thing. And I think there's some tab in here that you can remove, I think down right here somewhere. It holds on to this piece that's actually two different pieces. It's this side piece connected to the rest of this crap down here. I kind of want to take that off so I can just kind of open up an area here where I can put the screwdriver in much easier, but in any case, it can work. So a couple more things you'll have to remove. First is this piece right here, and it's just simply held on by these tabs that snap into these little other tabs just right over here on the side here, as you can see. So you can use a flathead screwdriver to kind of just, you know, pry these over very carefully without breaking them. And then you can pull this piece out. And then this piece right here, if you just pull here a little bit, it just pops out of a clip, which I think sits over here somewhere. And then on this side, there's going to be some tabs, as you can see here, and I actually just reached down with my finger and I was able to pop these out. But the second one here, you can just use a flathead screwdriver and you can pop out this tab right here, and I think this whole piece should be able to come off unless there's one more back here maybe, but we'll find out. Okay, now that a guy mentioned you have to take off this little sprung tab here, and I think it's just clipped on by this clip here, as you can see. So maybe if we can, you know, kind of gently pry on that using a flathead or something very carefully, we can pop this straight out this way, and hopefully the spring won't spring out. So when you remove this tab, this actual little tab on the spring, it just kind of sits right underneath here. I don't know what it catches onto, but it just kind of sat right underneath there. So that's where that piece, and then the other side of that spring just kind of rests on the tab itself. So that's how it looked like when I took it off, just in case you want to reference that. And now we're going to remove this other screw here, so I gotta see how I can do that. Okay, so it looks like I was able to get just enough space here without cracking this tab when I just pulled on this to slide my bigger Phillips screwdriver into here, and now I can remove this screw easily. So we'll go ahead and take the switch off and we'll see what it looks like. So the switch, I think it's kind of snapped into place, and what I found helpful was to stick a longer, flathead screwdriver, and you can actually push on the face of it, which you're actually just pushing on this portion here. At the same time, you're kind of pulling it, so it's a dual action kind of a motion here, and it popped right out. And so now we can somehow get this to come out. I think it's best to just flip it this way, and we'll just kind of massage it out of here like this, I think. Oh yeah, you can definitely see where it's worn down. Check this out. That's the tab we're talking about here, guys. Look at this tab. I want you to look at this part right over here. You see this little notch right over here? It's not completely flat, and it does kind of feel, yeah, so they are right. The blogs were saying that this is made out of a rubber material. The shaft is actually plastic, but on the top it's rubber, and it is worn down. And so as you compare it with the brand new switch, it's all plastic, so it should last a little longer, I hope, but we'll have to see. And so let's go ahead and get that electrical connector out from the back, and we can go ahead and just put the new one right in and put everything right back on. You compare the old switch, which is this one, the new one, again, you can see they look very identical here. Everything seems to be in the right place. Size seems to be exactly the same. This piece looks the same. I think this should work, you guys. I mean, you think about it, OEM part alone was about $78, and I'm sure they'll charge you about an hour and a half of labor for this at the very minimum, at $100 of labor. So you're looking at about, that's 150 plus 70, so you do the math. But I'm just saying, you could be saving a ton of money by doing it yourself. So I got the new one snapped in place. We're just going to pretty much slide it in exactly in the opposite way that I took it out, like that. We'll kind of flip it onto its side and feed it into this little cavity in here, and then it should snap right in place. And then after that, we can work on putting together all the other pieces that went on top of here. The fasteners here, of course, and then the final piece. But I want to clean all this up while I'm here. So, it's always good to just take a vacuum and vacuum it. So that's what I'm going to do now with the brush too. So we'll take some time to do that while you're in here. And if you have some grease, you should grease these areas too. But I don't have anything. I'm out here in the open, so it is what it is. Next, you want to go ahead and put this tab back in. And as I've told you earlier, that this piece of the spring here, this little tab, just slides right underneath right here. So we'll go ahead and make sure we get that just like this inside. Let's kind of zoom in there. Here we go. And these two little plastic tabs just kind of snap into place. Make sure the bottom one, you can see the bottom one, make sure that's in there too. And test it out, and works like it should. The next thing we're going to do is get all that plastic crap back on here. So we got this little piece right here, which is the cover, the dust cover, and that goes on something like that. Remember, there's 4 tabs on these, one there, one here, and 2 other ones. They align to some tabs located all around the shifter assembly. Just snap those in place. And then there's going to be a trim piece that goes on top of that with tabs, and that snaps into place onto here. Next, we'll go ahead and put back this bracket along with those other fasteners that go over here on each side. Trim piece back on. We're going to go ahead and plug in the electrical connector here to this plug, and it just kind of snaps into place into here. Then we'll go ahead and just kind of push everything else down to make sure it all snaps in place, whatever came off. Last but not least, we'll go ahead and screw back on our shifter knob. And remember, when I put back this centerpiece, I had to put it in the on position first. and shift the shifter into neutral. That way it'll make it easier to put back this piece. And then we'll test it out and see how it goes. So let's go ahead and see how this all works out now, if everything works the way it should, or if it's just another cheap China junk and I should have gotten the $78 OEM switch. So we'll go ahead and see what the verdict is on that. That's about tight enough. That's fine. Okay, so far it feels good. Able to go in, able to shift, very good. Okay, let's turn on the car now and see if it'll turn on. Okay, so it looks like we're good there. We're in park, that's correct. Let's go and shift it into reverse. Good, it's going into reverse as you can see. Then we'll go ahead and go to neutral. Very good, goes into neutral. We'll go into drive. That's working. And then we'll go into manual mode. There we are, manual 2, manual 1. And then the final test, let's see if it turns off. What can I say, you guys? So I hope you find this video very helpful. Please hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel. It helps the algorithm so other people can easily find this video. Leave a comment below about your issues and whether or not my video was helpful to you. If there's anything else that you recommend or tools you want to recommend, shout them out below. I don't get paid by anybody, not sponsored by anybody. I'm independent. But I wanted to help people, so I made this video for you guys to save you guys some money. And keep in mind, like I said, the factory OEM switches are almost $80. So I'm already saving you $50 by referring you to the cheap China switch, which you can see worked okay. But if you go have this repaired at a dealership, you know what they're going to charge you guys? They're going to sell you the entire shift assembly, like I told you. That's $300. This takes about an hour and a half of labor, so they'll just round it up to 2. That's about $100 an hour for labor. That's $200 on top of $300. That's $500 already for a job that literally costed me only $30 and a couple of pair of really cheap screwdrivers that I just found laying around my toolbox. So with that said, I'm out. See you on the next journey.